Most people don't think twice about a hug. It's just a hug, right? A polite gesture, a casual greeting, a simple way to say hello or goodbye. But what if I told you that a hug could be so much more? What if, with the right touch, the right timing, and the right energy, you could make a man feel something he doesn't even understand? Because here's the truth. Men remember how you make them feel. They might forget what you said. They might not recall every detail of a conversation. But if you touch them in a way that sparks something deep, raw, and unexpected, they won't be able to shake it. And a hug, a well-executed, intentional hug, that's one of the most powerful weapons in your arsenal. Why? Because men don't get physical affection the way women do. They walk through life carrying the weight of expectations, of strength, of control. They aren't used to someone holding them just right, in a way that makes them feel safe, seen, wanted. And when you're the woman who gives them that feeling, you become unforgettable. And after today, every time you hug a man, he'll feel it in ways he never expected. 1. The silent power of a hug. A hug is never just a hug, not when it's done right. Most people treat hugs as a formality, a quick squeeze, an automatic reaction, a meaningless exchange of warmth before they pull away and move on. But what if I told you that a hug, when done with intention, could make a man think about you long after you've walked away? Because here's the truth. Men crave physical touch more than they admit. Society has conditioned them to be strong, to be tough, to be untouched by emotion. Most of them walk through life deprived of real affection. And that's why a well-timed, perfectly executed hug can have an almost hypnotic effect on a man. It's not just about touching his body, it's about touching his mind. And once you do that, he won't be able to forget you. Science has already proven that physical touch triggers powerful chemical reactions in the brain. When you hug someone in a meaningful way, their body releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is what makes people feel safe, connected, and emotionally attached. It's the same hormone released when a mother holds her newborn, when lovers lay together after intimacy, when someone feels deeply understood by another person. Now, imagine being the woman who effortlessly triggers this reaction in a man. Imagine hugging him in a way that makes him feel seen, desired, and deeply connected to you. Most men don't get this from just anyone. They get quick, rushed, meaningless embraces. But if you do it differently, if you understand the psychology behind it, you'll stay on his mind for days. Here's where most women go wrong. They hug like they're afraid to be felt. They keep it short, stiff, polite. But if you want a man to think about you long after the moment has passed, you need to let the hug be something he feels in his soul. First, the pause before the hug. Lock eyes with him for a second. Let there be a moment of silence where he feels the build-up. That split second before the hug even happens. It's where the tension is created. Then, the way you lean in. Don't rush it. Let your body melt into his. Make him feel your presence, your warmth, the softness of you against him. And finally, the pull away. Here's the real trick. Don't be the first to let go. Men are used to women breaking the embrace too quickly. But if you linger for just a second longer, if you let your hands trace lightly over his back or squeeze his arm before pulling away, he will feel that moment in his bones. And then, every time he thinks of warmth, of comfort, of connection, he'll think of you. 2. The subtle art of using a hug to spark desire. Most women assume that a hug is just a friendly gesture, a casual way to say hello or goodbye. But what if I told you that a hug could be so much more? What if a simple embrace could trigger a reaction in a man that makes him crave you without even realizing why? Because here's the truth. Physical touch is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in human connection. It bypasses logic, penetrates deep into the subconscious, and leaves an imprint that lingers long after the moment is over. And when you do it right, he won't just enjoy the hug, he'll start wanting more. A hug, when executed with the right balance of warmth, pressure, and timing, can do something no words ever could. It can create an intimate moment without needing to say a thing. Here's how it works. Men are biologically wired to react to physical touch, but unlike women, they don't get it as often. Think about it. Women hug their friends, link arms, and touch each other naturally. Men, they shake hands, they keep their distance. They don't get that kind of casual intimacy from just anyone, so when a woman hugs him differently, when she does it in a way that feels deliberate, lingering, intentional, he notices, and more importantly, he feels it. A well-executed hug has the power to activate a man's craving for closeness, and once that craving is triggered, it doesn't go away easily. Here's the trick most women overlook. Timing is everything. A hug that's too quick feels impersonal. A hug that's too long can feel awkward. But the 3-second rule, that's where the magic happens. 1 second, he feels the warmth of your body against his. 2 seconds, his mind registers the softness of you. 3 seconds, his brain starts to process the feeling of closeness. And just when his body starts to relax into the moment, you pull away, but not abruptly, not coldly. Instead, you let your hands linger lightly against his arm or his back. You let your fingers trail off just slightly as you step away. And in that moment, his brain does something interesting. It starts replaying the hug. Because now he's aware of your presence in a way he wasn't before. Now he's thinking about how you felt, how you smelled, how effortlessly he fit into that moment with you. And that feeling, it stays with him. He might not even understand why, but he'll start wanting to be around you more, to find excuses to touch you, to close the space between you whenever he can, all because of a single hug. 3. The delayed release. Hug. Most women end a hug too soon. They let go as soon as they think they should, without realizing that a well-timed, perfectly executed delay can turn an ordinary embrace into something unforgettable. And if you want to make a man think about you long after you've let go, you need to master the art of the delayed release. What is the delayed release, and why does it work? The delayed release is exactly what it sounds like. It's the extra moment of connection that happens after the hug should have ended, but before it actually does. It's that subtle pause, that extra second where you don't just let go. You let him feel your presence for just a beat longer. Why does this work? Because in human psychology, unexpected moments trigger deeper emotional responses. Most men expect hugs to be predictable. They assume it'll be the usual quick squeeze, the routine breakaway. But when you hold just a second longer, just long enough for him to notice the difference, something shifts. His body relaxes into yours. His mind registers the warmth, the way you aren't in a rush to let go. And at that moment, you've planted a thought in his subconscious that won't leave. The key is subtlety. Don't grip too tight. Instead, let the pressure feel natural and inviting. Don't pull away too fast. Let the parting feel effortless, like you're reluctant to leave but won't force it. Make sure he notices. If he's expecting a quick hug but feels you hold on just a fraction longer, his mind will lock onto that moment. And when you finally do pull away, look at him. Hold his gaze for just a second before breaking eye contact. That's when his heart skips. That's when his mind starts asking, was that just a hug, or was that something more? And the best part, he won't even realize you did it on purpose, but he'll think about it again and again, until one day he'll realize he can't stop thinking about you. 4. The backstroke effect. Most women think that when a hug is over, it's over. But if you want to make a man think about you long after you've pulled away, there's one simple trick that will do it: the backstroke. What is it? It's the slight, intentional movement of your hand across his back just before the hug ends. A subtle, lingering touch that keeps the connection alive even as the embrace fades. And the best part, it's impossible to ignore. Why the backstroke works like magic. Humans are wired to respond to unexpected sensory experiences. When something feels different than usual, the brain takes notice. A standard hug, he won't remember it. But if, as you're pulling away, your hand lightly traces down his back, just enough for him to feel it, but not enough for it to seem deliberate, his brain will light up like a firework. Why? Because that's an intimate touch. Most people hug with stiff arms, with polite, robotic detachment. But the moment your hand moves, the moment there's an extra touch that lingers, he feels something deeper. His body remembers that sensation. His mind replays the moment. And even hours later, when he's lying in bed or sitting alone, he'll still feel the ghost of your touch. And that's when he realizes he wants more. How to use it without making it obvious? The trick is to make it seem unintentional, like your hand just naturally glided down his back as the hug ended. Keep your touch light, not forceful, not obvious, just a gentle glide. Let your fingers brush against him for half a second longer than expected. Then step away as if nothing happened. That's when the seed is planted in his mind. That's when he starts wondering, was that on purpose? Or was that just her natural way of hugging? And once a man starts wondering about you, he won't stop thinking about you. 5. The whispered goodbye. Hug. Most women don't say anything when they hug a man. They just embrace, pull away, and move on. But if you want a hug to haunt his thoughts, to make sure he never forgets the moment, you need to use the power of the whispered goodbye. Why words can transform a simple hug. Men don't just respond to touch. They respond to words, especially when those words come at the right moment, in the right tone, and in close proximity. A hug already puts you in his personal space. He can feel your breath, your warmth, your energy. But when you add a soft, well-placed whisper just before you pull away, that's when his mind snaps to full attention. Because words said in a moment of intimacy carry a different weight. They don't just get heard, they sink into the soul. How to whisper the right words? The key is keeping it simple. You don't need to overthink it. In fact, the more effortless it sounds, the better. Here are a few lines that work like magic. I needed that. Playful, flirty, impossible to forget. You always give the best hugs. Makes him feel special, like there's something unique about him. I didn't want to let go. A slow-burning line that will replay in his mind for days. The trick? Say it softly, just before you break the hug. Let it feel natural, almost like an afterthought. Then, step away, smile, and don't say another word. That's when he feels it. That's when his heart starts racing, even if he doesn't understand why. And later, when he's alone, that whispered phrase will echo in his mind, again and again, until he realizes he needs to see you again.